Hello and welcome to your Scorpio season reading, Scorpio. Happy birthday as well. So this is a season of shadow work. May feel tense and scary, but necessary. So we're going to take a look at what is still haunting you. We're going to then get into what you have not been able to acknowledge, what is your rebirth, the transformation, and what you have control over. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning member, welcome back. It's great to have you here at the Oracle of Atlantis. So we will be diving into the Moon Oracle, the Mystical Shaman Oracle, the Astrology deck, as well as the Shadowscapes Companion Tarot. So let's dive into your reading. From the Moon Oracle, what is still haunting you? The first card that wanted to come out, we have the energy of Gaia, which is Libra's energy. So Libra is all about balance, right? But with this energy, I was getting connected to the Earth's energy, right? We have Gaia here. So from the experience of what I've seen personally about Scorpio's energy is there is a lot of like emotional heaviness or baggage cast on to the Scorpio placement. Now I'm imagining Scorpios being very like earthbound type of energies, desert heat, right? Scorpios I do kind of associate with more like desert spaces. Egypt comes to mind when I think of the scorpion itself. So there's a lot of heat and not so much water, which is interesting because Scorpio, you are a water sign, right? You, I would technically see almost similar to Cancer's energy. You could actually be even the evolution of Cancer's energy, right? In the zodiac wheel, it goes Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And you did have Pisces energy somewhere here. Can't remember. Anyway, so with this, it's almost like there could be old traumas, frustrations lingering in your zodiac element. However, I have kind of seen waters returning to places like Egypt, to the desert, to bring it back to an oasis, and the scorpion actually going into the ocean, which then it actually kind of becomes this almost like iridescent blue, right? The truth, your evolution, the healing of one's deeper shadows. I do find it interesting, if you think of Orion, I believe it is Orion who is pointing his sword, I believe, at your sign, Scorpio. Correct me if I'm wrong, the last time I saw the constellations, I'm pretty sure it was Scorpio the sword was pointed at. And the sword can represent the sword of truth, right? We are starting with your energy, Scorpio, for this series of readings because it is Scorpio season. So this could be a time where you feel most in your element, whether you're comfortable with it or not. Some may be really comfortable in this energy, others may not. Scorpio is about life, death, and rebirth. So it's like shedding and constantly evolving, right? Kind of the healing and evolution of the zodiac. So Gaia, this is finding our balance, the scales of justice. What I was going to say about Orion as well. A lot of times when I actually look at Orion in the night sky, I don't see a warrior at all. What I actually see is like almost like a priest or a monk. And where on his right side, there's kind of this line between the stars, right? Which kind of represents Orion's skirt or kilt, right? But when I actually see this constellation in physical view, to me it actually looks like a priest who has like a belt on, obviously. But from that belt on his right hip, there's a chain with a key hanging on it. And it's pointing, he's pointing to Scorpio. I'm not sure if he points to Scorpio consistently. If you know, feel free to leave that in the comments. But, so it's almost like this truth, this passage through your gate of faith I'm getting. So that may resonate with some of you out there on kind of a deeper intuitive level. So Gaia existed before time began and gave birth to time. After the universe had been created, all that remained was for it to be peopled. So Gaia united with her son Uranus to give birth to the first race of gods, the 12 titans, 6 female and 6 male. And finally she bore 3 monsters, which were known as hecatoncheires. These were horrific creatures with 50 heads and from whose shoulders sprang 50 pairs of arms. Uranus was so horrified by them that as soon as they were born, he imprisoned them in the earth. At first, Gaia mourned the loss of the hecatoncheires, and then she grew angry at her husband. She plotted with her last-born Titan Cronus to mutilate Uranus while he slept. He severed his father's genitals with a sickle and threw them into the sea. From Uranus's wounded black blood dropped onto the earth. Where the drops fell, the earth gave birth to the Furies, monstrous giants, and also the ash tree nymphs, the Malae. Aphrodite was born out of the white foam that formed in the sea of the debris that surfaced. This always kind of gives me this energy of like transitional, like transitioning from one sex to another, right? The birth of Aphrodite. It's almost like she didn't even start off as a woman at all. She was actually a man. Well, technically she was born from a man's genitals, so in the foam of the ocean. A lot of these Greek tales are quite interesting. Like, I've been noticing, like, I don't know all the Greek gods and goddesses names, but they all kind of stand for some impart of knowledge, right? Like, the energy of the narcissist comes up quite often, right? So somebody was asking me about this the other day, and one thing that clicked to actually be able to describe it was Greek mythology. The god Narcissus, I think is his name, who basically picked up a mirror and fell in love with his reflection and found himself so beautiful that nobody else could compare to him, right? That's kind of the narcissistic energy. But we tend to throw that word around a lot, and I think a lot of people are just trying to love themselves. So if you have confidence in yourself and actually stick to your boundaries, sometimes we can be labeled as a narcissist, right? Which is not, it's not really a fair assessment. Where the hell was I going with that? Totally lost my train of thought. Oh, Narcissus, kind of, one of the gods kind of had an impart into actually, to get to the root of what the word actually meant itself, right? When the other gods became supreme at Olympus, Gaia still retained her power and was respected by the other gods and goddesses. Gaia presided over marriages, cared for the sick, and was the most prominent of the oracles of the great divinatory center at Delphi. So Delphi is basically the original oracle of Atlantis, if I'm not mistaken. From the earth at Delphi issued a strange breath or wind that gave men the ability to prophecy. And it's interesting because what you've not been able to acknowledge from the mystical shaman, you actually have the energy of the wind itself, perhaps the winds of change. And the medicine for this energy is actually taming the wind. So that's quite foretelling in itself. She was known as Gaia, universal mother who blesses men with fair children and all the pleasant fruits of the earth. Drawing the goddess Gaia reveals that you will go to extremes to protect that which is precious to you. She shows that something you have produced is unacceptable to others, and you may have to take drastic steps in order to protect that which you have created. Eventually, out of the extreme nature of your response will be some good. Gaia is the last of the red goddesses, and in her sustaining role, seeks to see both sides of a situation before taking empathetic action. The nature of air in Libra is to weigh the pros and cons of each situation in order to be sure that the eventual decision made is the correct one. October could have some significance to your current situation and your journey. Gaia is connected to the month of October. So that would have been last month, right? There could have been something that happened. But this energy has a lot to do with the wind itself. So the wind can be kind of like messages. I'm kind of getting the energy of tornado, right? Like we can get swept up in like mental processes and kind of go out of control a bit. So there is a need to temper this energy to find a balance in your mental health, your mental strength. From the astrology deck, we have the blue moon. A blue moon is a bonus full moon within a given period of time. It can occur within a calendar month or within a season. In astrology, it refers to when 2 full moons occur while the sun is in a single zodiac sign. For example, if there were 2 full moons while the sun was in Virgo, the second full moon would be a blue moon. An astrological blue moon happens approximately every 3 years, and it's like a supercharged full moon, a time of heightened emotions and personal discovery. So once in a blue moon, right? So this would be 2 full moons in the same month. Or in the same zodiac sign, at least. Then we have the trine. A trine aspect occurs when 2 planets or points are 120 degrees to 120 degrees apart from each other in the birth chart. This major aspect indicates a harmonious, stimulating relationship between the 2 bodies and brings out creativity, love, and an overall easier time. A trine occurs between celestial bodies that share the same element. For example, if you have your sun sign in Scorpio, a water sign, and your moon sign in Cancer, another water sign, these planets would be considered a water trine to each other. Now we have opposition, but going back to the trine, I was actually seeing the trine of Scorpio itself, which is life, death, and rebirth, right? The 3 major aspects of life. Which is house number 8, by the way. Scorpio, your house is house number 8. That is the house that your zodiac energy rules. So it's about transformation, karma, facing fears, and legacies. So that does make a lot of sense, right? With Scorpio season being the season of like inner work, self-reflection, shadow work type of energy. So with opposition, an aspect can add a push and pull vibe to your chart. This major aspect occurs when planets or other points of astrological significance are 180 degrees apart. In other words, they are across the zodiac from each other. So this could be your opposing sign. Obviously, right? Your opposition. So Scorpio's opposition. Let me just find the wheel here. Scorpio is Taurus, Venus energy, right? Venus rules both Libra and Taurus. So Gaia can, in an essence, be kind of connected to Taurus's or Venus's energy. So Taurus is your opposition. So I could see this as somebody that may be completely opposite to who you are, but yet you may actually complement each other really well. It can be challenging to deal with the polar opposite energies, but with awareness and effort, you can work with the aspect to create a balanced harmony, a healthy tension that can be harnessed for good, which is beautiful coming out with Libra's energy, balancing those scales. I'm kind of getting the scales of the goddess Ma'at, right, from Egypt, the heart against the feather. Is your heart light as a feather? Then if it's not, there's obviously shadow work that still needs to be done within that energy. You did have another goddess. Oh, that's where it was. You had another goddess that wanted to come out from the Moon Oracle. We have the goddess Ishtar with Pisces energy. I knew I saw Pisces in there somewhere. Be malleable. Ishtar was one of the most powerful goddesses in the Assyrian pantheon, said by some to be the daughter of Sin, and by others the daughter of Anu. Those who had held her to be the daughter of Sin regarded her as a war goddess, and those who held she was the daughter of Anu regarded her as a goddess of love. I get very much kind of this energy and connection to That's strange. To not Ishtar, Sekhmet, which I do have right here. So the goddess Sekhmet can be the goddess of love and or war herself. She is also the goddess of the disease as well as the cure, which is very much kind of your energy, Scorpio, right? Scorpio carries poison within it, but that poison most likely is manifesting from the inside out, right? So you have both the poison and the cure in your hand. But the next evolution of the water signs is Pisces energy, right? So I kind of see like Cancer and Scorpio very similar creatures, right? If you see Cancer as the crab, or not the crab, I mean, it is the crab, but the lobster. So the lobster and the scorpion actually look very similar creatures, right? There's little differences, but overall they kind of are the same. They just have different tails, right? Where a scorpion has a poisonous stinger for its tail. So then Cancer as a lobster has more of like a fish or a mermaid tail, right? Maybe a little softened emotions. I kind of see like Scorpio almost in the past suffering in the like element of fire itself, like a lot of heat, frustration, rage, perhaps anger, even violence, whereas Cancer was a little more emotional. Water, right? Submerged. I picture kind of like Atlantis, right? Falling to the bottom of the sea and living in the water itself. Whereas Scorpio kind of dried out on the desert. So you have the element of fire and water within these two water signs, which could be the trine here, this rebirth. And then in the rebirth, we move into Pisces energy. Pisces is the third water sign, right? And that would be the water trine. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So this is almost like getting the fishtail back and releasing the poison of influences of the past. The warrior Ishtar was always represented in a chariot drawn by 7 fierce lions and holding a bow in her hand. She was known as the Lady of Battles. As the goddess of love and voluptuousness, she was no more gentle. She would show irritability and violence on every occasion in which her desires were thwarted. In her youth, Ishtar loved Tammuz, the god of harvest. Her love was said to have caused his death. Consumed by grief, Ishtar descended into the underworld in the hope of rescuing Tammuz. At each of the gates of the 7 precincts, she removed an article of clothing. This is actually sounding very familiar to my own journey. On arrival in the underworld, Ishtar was taken prisoner. During her time of imprisonment, no creatures engaged in acts of procreation on earth, causing desolation, and in heaven there was great sorrow. Sin, Ishtar's father, asked Ea to help him rescue her, and Ereshkigal, queen of the underworld, was forced to release Ishtar by means of spell concocted by Ea. She was sprinkled with the water of life, and retrieving her garments at each of the 7 gates, she returned to freedom. It's very much like this energy of being held captive. So this, you don't necessarily need to feel like this at this time, but in the history of our past, this very much could have been Zodiac's energy, right? So it still kind of influences us at this time. This is hidden deep within the shadows. Another image I was getting with Gaia when it came out for your shadow work, what is still haunting you? When you think of a physical shadow, it is always on the ground, right? Connected to the earth. The earth we can see as more the soil from which we grow, which can be the underworld, right? And you actually have, now that I'm looking at this card, this plant showing its roots, exploring its deeper roots, and which it has grown, the shadow work, right? And then I was kind of getting this image of the movie Peter Pan from Disney, where he's, you know, trying to, what does he try to do? Staple his shadow back to himself, because his shadow is getting loose and causing havoc, right? So it's like accepting and embracing the shadow self. And the shadow self can have a lot to do with fears, insecurities, anything we are ashamed about ourselves, traumas, anything that's kind of like dark and heavy, right? We don't always want to explore that shadow work, but once we explore it and we learn to work with it, we can actually integrate it into our light body as well, and find acceptance and make peace with it. So Ishtar, the white goddess, indicates that you must be firm and take strong positive action to achieve your aims. If you have selected this card, you will need to fight for something you wish to regain. It may be necessary to symbolically strip down to the barest essentials, give up everything else in order to fight this particular battle, and even then you may need to call for assistance at the end. The element of Pisces is water, and it is the ability of water to flow around or wear down any obstruction that is at the heart of the meaning of this card. This card is connected to the month of March, so there may be something significant that happens to you in Pisces season. Now we have a fourth lunar card from the astrology deck. A phenomena. We have the waxing crescent. The waxing crescent follows the new moon during this phase. The moon is at 0.1% to 49.99% lit. This phase is extremely helpful for beginning to manifest those new moon intentions you've set for yourself, as the waxing crescent brings more light into your life. This phase gives you a chance to test out your goals with some fresh energy. Here you can really appreciate fruitful possibilities unfolding in your life. People born in this phase are typically ambitious, curious, and adventurous. So it's kind of interesting, right? Like we have kind of Gaia here alone in her energy, perhaps feeling safe at home. Where Ishtar has like animals, she's got a lion and a snake here, a tree. It's almost like she's kind of like prepared to take on new challenges, to go into the unknown, the wilderness. So what have you not been able to acknowledge with the mystical shaman oracle? We have the Taming the Wind card, number 55, so definitely some changes here. Here, the feather, a symbol that is used in clearing ceremonies for smudging, reminds you of the sacred commitment you make to your life. This is the symbol of consciously bringing the spiritual into the material, infusing the world with reverence and an acknowledgement of the higher planes of existence that influence and animate all life. The feather is a symbolic reminder of deliberately entering into a partnership with the Great Spirit to co-create for the highest good of all. It's time to clear your energy, be present, and become conscious of how you communicate. This is a good time to write in a journal and put your thoughts into cohesive form. Perhaps you need to actually do a smudging ceremony in your home or office, creating a sacred space to write about your dreams and desires. Just remember that when Taming the Wind appears as a symbol, it is a time to honor the Great Spirit with reverence and respect. So this definitely is a time of self-reflection. Obviously, we spoke of this already. So journaling can help you explore yourself, your triggers, your interests, your desires, all of those things to help you integrate that more shadow energy, the kind of like unseen influences of who you are. It's time to clean up any misunderstandings with others, clear the air after disagreements, and allow others to share their side of things. You are called now to be a good listener. This is not a time to be right, it's a time for you to understand rather than be understood. Good things come out of the restraint of tongue and pen. You will be surprised at how things get resolved when you allow for all sides to have value, which is interesting because we do have, later in your reading, we have the energy coming out with the Shadowscapes, the card of Strength, showing some restraint perhaps. Now, the medicine for the Taming the Wind. I totally read those cards backwards. Yep, I did. I did. Because that was the medicine. Listening to others, restraining tongue and pen when need to. When you're writing in your journal, I mean, feel free to express yourself as authentically as you want. That's kind of the place where you should be able to speak freely without judgment, because you're just observing your own self. But the actual energy that came out of what you are not acknowledging is the wind itself. So technically I pulled these cards out backwards. My bad. My apologies. The symbol of wind represents the element of air. It rules communication, thought, song, and inspired ideas. It also signifies change with qualities, both positive and negative. The wind blows from each of the 4 directions. So it does have the directions of the wind. So for the north, we have moving to bring you wisdom and strength. East, we have carrying clarity of vision and purpose. South, carrying a new sense of trust, helping you gently begin to discard habits and parts of you that are no longer needed. And West, calling you to more introspection, to a willingness to make final decisions, to let go of attachment and ego desires. Whichever the way the wind is blowing, the message which the wind whispers or shouts is a challenge. It may take courage at first to turn and face the wind. You will find exaltation in moving toward it and receiving its lessons. When the spirit of the wind comes calling, it's a sign of change. Perhaps you need to change your mind about something. Perhaps an old way of doing things has become automatic, and now that you've gained greater clarity, you can make a new choice. Regardless of what the change is, you can expect to be understood and to have clear communication with others at this time. Ideas are solid, and the shift that is being called for is in the highest good of all. So I am going to use my Raven Song Oracle. This actually kind of flew out of the Moon Oracle deck, which was kind of random. I don't know why it was in there in the first place. Probably holding a page. But I do feel we're being called to get some guidance from my Oracle deck, the Raven Song. Which is used to be Raven's Mystic Oracle, my bad. That has been changed in the card. If you're interested in this deck for yourself, I will have the link in the description box for you to purchase it. What is the Song of the Wind from the Raven for Scorpio? Ooh. So I love that this card is coming out. So we have Divine Love. So this card is actually about divine love for yourself and embracing both sides, your light and your shadow, your masculine and your feminine. Love and our fearless truth, that is the gift that is given within the foundation of youth. This is a card of fearlessly loving yourself, and this comes in many forms, from honoring our past and choices made, to learning to adapt and try to make healthier choices in the future. Love for oneself may be a combination of both releasing inner control and gaining control of what we can. To love oneself is hard and takes time, but you are worth the time. Honor your truth and know that others are doing the same. So this is kind of interesting because you're clarifying tarot cards for what you do have control over. We have the energy of strength, right? Leo's energy. I'm almost getting like what you have control over is the strength to guide your light in the right places, to light other people's worlds. We have the Empress. So the Empress is deeply connected to nature, the divine feminine, the mother, right? But there is some sort of call for balance here with the card of Temperance. So this could be a call to balance your masculine and feminine energies. There was kind of the energy of restraint, right? Holding back and listening and hearing other people out. So that could be where your strength needs to be applied, to take the time to tune in and listen to others. Like empathy for others shows more empathy for yourself in like a divine essence. Then we end with the 10 of Cups. So this definitely could lead to definitely a romantic connection here. We do have divine love for yourself and others, and this balancing of the masculine and feminine. There's like this gift that is being offered to you from this Empress energy. The Empress is connected to nature, so being out in nature can help bring some sense of calm and joy into your life if you don't get out much. Witnessing nature. But there's definitely a wish coming true through this shadow work here. It's like a healing of oneself. Perhaps even a healing mainly of both sides of oneself, the masculine and feminine within you. So let's take a look at the outcome should you put the work into your shadow energy. Oh, look at that. We have the Hermit showing up. Very much that shadow energy, self-reflecting, going within, taking moments in solitude, perhaps even moments in solitude to listen to the call of your own soul, the winds of change within. Outcome for the viewers. So we do have the Devil energy, which doesn't have to be a bad thing. The Devil energy can actually be some sort of success in the physical world. But the Devil can represent temptation, greed, fear, blaming other people, right? The Devil can be illusions and tricks of the mind, which are going to happen when you go through the shadow energy. There's going to be a lot of fear, a lot of insecurity, a lot of doubt. And it's kind of like, it's almost like the devil of our own mind trying to pull us down. But trust that you will get through these periods and phases and come out wiser and stronger for going through them in the first place. All is not as it seems. We have the High Priestess. So the High Priestess is all about following our intuition. She is connected to the feminine energy, subconscious, clairvoyance perhaps, clairaudience, the psychic, more psychic gifts. She stands between the pillars of strength and stability. So it's almost like you have this strength and stability being offered to you, even when this devil energy shows up. Trust that the divine has your back and you are protected through the shadow of yourself. Ooh, then we end in the Lovers, which is very interesting because we have the Lovers card, which is Gemini's energy, which is the light and shadow kind of itself, the masculine, the feminine, the light and shadow, right? Which is what these pillars can represent. In the traditional tarot cards, the pillars are black, this pillar is black, and this is white. We did have the energy speaking from one of the cards about the Chariot's energy coming up. I think it was actually was it Ishtar? She had the Chariot of 7 lions, but that's not... Anyway, doesn't really matter. The Devil's energy, we have Capricorn. The High Priestess energy is Cancer. They are the opposites of each other on the zodiac wheel. But it's very interesting because now that I'm thinking of Capricorn's energy, Capricorn also has a tail because Capricorn is a sea goat. So it's kind of like a mermaid, but instead of the body of a human, it would be the body of a goat and the tail of a fish. And we were talking about the tails between scorpions and lobsters, right? Cancer and Scorpio energy, almost like mutating back into the fish tail. But these are Cancer and Capricorn, which sit opposite on the zodiac wheel. So I would see the opposites as like maybe like they mirror the exact opposites of what the other sign needs. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a battling, right? Like two opposing forces. They offer different energies. One is water, one is earth. Our whole planet is made up of water and earth, right? And then air, which is Gemini's. Gemini is known as the twins, right? The light and shadow body, the good versus the evil. That's kind of funny that I'm saying the good versus the evil here. We have the high priestess, which would be connected to church, religion, faith, spirituality. The devil, which is more connected to darker energies, right? But going through this energy and following one's own intuition may lead you to a greater love of self, or perhaps with others as well, right? We do have the Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords can represent lies, deception, betrayal. What I'm actually getting from this is, again, the devil plays tricks. Don't believe everything that comes through your intuition at this time, because sometimes there are going to be energies that try to play mind games with you, including your own subconscious, right? Self-sabotaging kind of mental energies. So this is a call to really be honest with yourself first. If other people are lying and deceiving you, I mean, if you kind of recognize it, maybe pull back from that energy. Don't just keep putting up with it. But otherwise, it's like, you know what, let them do what they need to do. I'm gonna be real and true to myself, and the rest doesn't really matter, right? So for the closing message, I do want to pull you an animal spirit guide from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Oracle. Sorry, I think it's just called the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit. Yes. We have the bee showing up. So bees are all about hard work and dedication and enjoying the moment as well. With the rabbit. So the rabbit can be about cycles, right? We go through the cycles. The winds of knowledge and wisdom to adapt and evolve. Closing message for Scorpio, please. Animal Spirit Guide for the closing message of Scorpio. Ooh, we have the Firefly. So the Firefly represents an opportunity. But the Firefly can be an opportunity that needs to be like embraced quickly, like jumped on, seized. Because it can be a very fleeting moment. Inspired and fantastic, yet fleeting, the Firefly contains the light of 1,000 stars. It's pure, radiant, and illuminating. This high-frequency charge cannot be sustained for long. Therefore, the Firefly card indicates a moment of inspiration or awakening that quickly fades if we do not catch it. There is Firefly energy in every poem, song, and invention. Our job is to be ready to harness this creative spirit when it graces our path. What can you do to support this precious and elusive light? When in balance, writes, creates, and brainstorms. When out of balance, burnt out and feels dull. To bring into balance, write a poem or draw. Well then, I am feeling called from reading that card to pull you like a song from like a song shuffle. So basically, I just go into my playlist and shuffle, and the first song that comes out may have some significance to you. There may be some inspiration behind that song, is actually what I was getting from this Firefly. What is the song for Scorpio at this time? They Don't Know, Ariana Grande. Lately I've been going through and just adding songs that I hear off YouTube that I kind of like, so I really have no idea what that song is about. But it may have some significance for you at this time. So that is the reading I have for you at this time, Scorpio. There may be a call to pay attention to the signs. Your soul tribe may be coming, and we have Neptune. Right? Dreams and fantasies. That could be where these this opportunity comes from, right? It could be a dream or fantasy, something that you have, and this opportunity comes before you, and it's almost like don't let the fear or doubt of your mind turn you away from this opportunity to believe in yourself, your strength, and your stability to actually achieve what it is you want. So I will leave the reading there. We do have the crystal energy as well, so there may be a call to work with crystals for some deeper soul healing. So that is the reading. I hope it resonates. If it does, please feel free to like this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Many blessings, live, love, and light, and happy birthday.